About to it up. Now, let me go to what I was gonna talk about today. Woke up and I stand grounded in God's light, and I stand authorized by the divine love. I stand aligned with the invisible spirit. Perfect order. I call now, not in fear, not in force, but in clarity and consent. I call upon all angels in God's army, known and unknown, named and unnamed, those who guard, those who heal, those who record, and those who move unseen, hidden, and those who stand in fire. On some Goku stuff. Stand with me now, not to destroy, but to separate truth from distortion. I call upon discernment. By the divine authority, I slice away all cords by clapping. So that's all clap. When we clap, we slicing and moving the energy. So let's clap away today. Hold up, move my legs so they don't go to sleep on me. All right, so we clapping. Make sure we clapping today. So we slicing away all cords, contracts, influences, impressions that did not originate in love, truth, or God's will. We slice through, picture scissors, just slicing, just cutting, cut it. That old OT Genesis song, cut it, it's cutting away. And it's slicing through confusion, it's masquerading as wisdom, it's cutting through fear, pretending to be protection, just cutting. Delay, pretending to be patience. What is not aligned falls away clearly. Clearly, or cleanly, cleanly. No residue, no backlash, no doubting. Now it's time for the burning, or what I would like to say, transmutation. I burn through stagnant energy, inherited pain, ancestral sorrow that have taught its lesson, karmic loops that have reached completion. I call it refining presence, reflected and spun, not for wrath, but for transmutation through accountability. I also call the righteous flames that's mirrored in Ghost Rider, not for vengeance, but for truth revealed by flame. And let the fire cleanse without consuming. Let the fire illuminate without scarring. Let the fire return power to its rightful owner. Now it's time to zap, 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 zap. And what does zap mean? Activation. By divine spark, I zap awake I mean, zap it up. Zap awake all dormant light, sleeping courage, and delayed assignments, waiting for the right moment. I zap awake memory without trauma. I mean, trauma. Life can get traumatizing. You be like, bro, I didn't want that. I didn't want trauma. I walked outside to have fun, bro. Why you hit me with trauma, life? So, memory without trauma. Power without ego. Oh yeah, that can be tough. You can get lost in the sauce. That's what getting lost in the sauce is. When you have so much power, your ego just getting lost in it. That's lost in the sauce. We don't want to get lost in the sauce. We don't want to get lost in the sauce. Movement without chaos. Whoa. Sometimes that can be tough. Because no matter what you do, somebody gonna hate it, somebody gonna love it. They can bring a lot of chaos. So let our movements not cause chaos. So God, let it be so, please. Please, God. Let it be so. Let it be so. What must move, moves. What must rest, rest. What must end, ends gently. What must begins, begins now. From ancient keepers of wisdom, from thought and describes of cosmic law, to the teachers of compassion, embodiment, and clarity, to the new masters rising gently in this age, whose names are not spoken aloud. Stand in council, not above me, but with me. Guide this work so that nothing is rushed, nothing is delayed, and nothing is wasted. Let knowledge serve love, let power serve harmony, let form follow spirit. Invisible spirit, author of coherence, keeper of timing, listener beyond language, I do not ask you to change the plan. I align myself so the plan may pass through me unhindered. May every slice bring clarity. May every burn bring healing. May every zap bring rightful activation. I remain sovereign. 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 Others remain sovereign. Harmony remains intact. Harmony remains intact. And so it is, and so it unfolds, and so it rests. have to prove. You don't have to protect anything right now. Let the hum arrive before the word. Let your body hear safety first. I place myself in God's light. Not above, not below. Right where I'm meant to be. I align with the invisible spirit. Plan that already knows how to unfold. I arrive, all angels in. I invite all. Alright. I tried, y'all. I tried. I invite all angels and guides on me. Guardians, healers, messengers, record keepers, to stand in harmony, not in urgency. Harmony, not in urgency. Stand gently. Stand lawfully. Stand in love. Yeah. I'm being goofy. But nah. Raku. I bring grounding. Raku. Gravity bent sideways. Echoes of the rap family peeled off them like after images and tried to fight their originals for dominance. But this time none of that entered directly. It all flowed first through Mama Ama's lens field, and the lens did something rude. It translated. Every reversed vowel streaming out of Twilight's zone absolute hit the lens, and instead of striking, it came through rewritten into Yoku's chant. The kill chord from the zone absolute hit the dome as ooh, ee, ah, ooh, and came out of the dome as will it be 10 or 11. The mirrored after images lunged, teeth bared, movements twitching and jerky. And the instant they touched Ama's focus field, they stopped, staggered, blinked, and then began moving in sync with their originals instead of attacking them. Twilight stared, that smooth confidence cracking. No, he hissed. No, you don't get to refract me. You don't get to make me wholesome. Civil Surfer's grin went feral. Buddy, I think we just did. Twilight snarled and dove, dragging the 11 mirrors with him. They spun around him like orbiting saw halos. Each mirror flashed with image. Anonymous bleeding, Civil Surfer drowning, Mama Ama failing to protect, Yoku captured and silenced. Weaponized dread, Twilight thrust both arms forward. Break. Anonymous stepped in front of his family and did something that made even Civil Surfer stare. He opened himself. Not his stance himself. He let the neoplasm chi flare to full. His aura didn't sharpen like a blade, didn't burst like a bomb. It unfurled like a living field of liquid light. Green veins of regeneration, violet arcs of snake chi wisdom, Silver threads of something older than language hummed in coils around him. Twilight's 11 mirrors hit that field and didn't bounce. They dissolved, not shattered, not erased. Dissolved into light and reabsorbed as harmless data, like nightmares waking up and realizing, oh, I'm not real. I don't have to fight anymore. Twilight staggered in the air, choking, clutching his own throat like the vacuum was suddenly inside him. What did you do? Anonymous answered calmly. Neoplasm flow, but not the version you thought you could hijack. He took one step forward and the ground pulsed in 11 directions at once. My chi doesn't just regenerate my body anymore. It regenerates meaning. Twilight froze. Anonymous kept walking. You tried to weaponize reflection. You tried to turn pain into a broadcast. You tried to bend love until it cracked. That used to work, Twilight. It used to work on all of us. You were king of it. He spread his hands. Not anymore. Twilight's own rap tried to surge forward again, but his own zone absolute started flickering around him. Mirrors stuttering, feedback crawling down his arms like static parasites. His power wasn't vanishing, it was rebelling. Civil Surfer leaned in Yoku's ear. He's losing tune. Yoku nodded. He not in the song. That line hit like scripture. He not in the song. Twilight roared and ripped space. The air tore open behind him in a jagged wound, and from it poured something nastier than the inverted choir. Compressed shards of the broken mirror chamber itself. Raw reality teeth. Shards of weaponized perspective. All his old grudges, all his old manipulations, all his old control over how people saw themselves, forged into blades. That was his real weapon, not force. Narrative. Mama Ama saw those shards aiming for Yoku first and moved so fast she looked like golden afterimage. Not my baby. The shards hit her lens field and instead of piercing they slowed. The whole world slipped into syrup. Anonymous shouted, "Surfer now." Civil Surfer grinned, dropped his stance, and did what only he could do. He surfed the pause. His chai board formed under his feet in glowing turquoise, and he rode along the slowed shards, tagging each one with upbeat rhythm hits like a drummer tapping cymbals. Tack, 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 tack. Oh, this? This is called tide reversal, he said, so smug he could have been wearing sunglasses. You tossed us your poison. Cool. We're just gonna send the emotional invoice back to the sender. One by one, the shards spunked and reoriented, now aiming back at Twilight Zone rap. Twilight saw it and snarled and threw his arms up to shield. The shards hit him, but they didn't wound him. They showed him. Every shard replayed the face of someone he broke, someone he manipulated, someone he trained too hard, gaslit too long, warped too deep. His expression changed, not to guilt, to fury. You don't show me. Then he screamed. The scream wasn't made of sound, it was made of breakage. The zone absolute detonated, reality buckled. The Chakratati rivers twisted in the air like they were being strangled. The ground cracked into a grid of floating slabs of light and shadow. Everyone was thrown in different directions, Surfer tumbling end over end, Amma skidding backward on her knees. Yoku spun up and caught midair in a vortex of glitch. Only Anonymous remained standing, because the neoplasm flow had finally stopped being just a form. It had become a field, and that field anchored him in all frames at once. Twilight hovered above the battlefield now as a living distortion, voice echoing from every direction at once and none. You think you've risen beyond me, he hissed, voice like radio static in resentment. You think you've escaped my trial? Anonymous met his eyes. Calm, direct, not cruel. No, he said, I think you're still part of it. Twilight's face twitched, and Anonymous did something unbelievably disrespectful. He held out his hand, open, offered. Twilight reeled like he'd been struck. No, he roared. Do not offer me mercy. This isn't mercy, Anonymous said. Mercy says I forgive you. I'm not there with you. This is different. The neoplasm aura around him pulsed, not violence, steady. This is responsibility. Twilight stared, trembling. Anonymous kept going. His voice didn't rise. It just filled. You are not allowed to run the city as trauma anymore. You are not allowed to weaponize our self-doubt anymore. You are not allowed to turn reflection into a blade and call it training. That age is over. His eyes glowed, twin silver-violet suns. So I am sealing you. Twilight laughed, breathless. You can't kill me. I exist anywhere imbalance does. I'm inside people's fear. I am the voice that tells them they're not enough. I am permanent. I know, Anonymous said softly. That's why I'm not killing you. He nodded once. Song now, toddler Yoku inhaled. His tiny chest swelled, and together, father and son, they dropped the chant. Not cute now, not playful, not even loud, true. Yoku, will it be 10 or 11? Anonymous, weaving beneath. E-oo-oo-ee-ah-oo. The effect didn't blast, it gathered. Their combined resonance spiraled around Twilight Zone rap, coiling tighter, softer, cleaner, until the distortion that made up his body flickered from roar to whisper to outline to ember. He didn't vanish, he condensed. What remained of him, rage, brilliance, violation, obsession, control, hardened into a floating shard the size of a fist. A single dark glass seed. It hummed like a trapped radio signal. The battlefield went still. The sky returned to color. The rivers remembered how to flow forward. Civil Surfer sat up slowly, blinking. Did we just bottle Twilight Zone rap? Mama Amma exhaled hard, shoulders shaking, gold aura dimming back to soft honey light. We didn't bottle him. We quarantined the infection. Anonymous walked forward and caught the shard in one palm. The shard pulsed angry but caged. It tried to distort his aura. The neoplasm flow didn't let it. Toddler Yoku leaned over his shoulder, studying it with deep toddler skepticism. He go in timeout, Anonymous smiled. Yeah, baby, he goes in timeout. The shard twitched. Inside it, just for a flicker, Twilight Zone Rap's face formed, furious, insulted, humiliated, and smiling, not his smug smile. A different one. Something like respect. This isn't over, his voice echoed from inside the shard, distant but clear. I am the lesson you don't want. You can seal me, but what built me is still walking your streets. Anonymous's jaw tightened. Yeah, he said quietly, no. The shard went dim. Civil Surfer stood, dusted invisible dust off his shoulders. Okay. I vote we put Evil Crystal Dad in a jar and never tell the toddlers where we hide the jar. Mama Amma looked at Anonymous. You good? He nodded, but it wasn't the usual, yeah, I'm fine. It was the heavy kind. The kind where a leader feels the next storm before anyone else can smell the rain. I'm good in body, he said. Chi's stable, neoplasms anchored. No decay. He looked out over the now restored rivers, his voice lower. But he's right. About what? Civil Surfer asked. Anonymous answered without looking away. He wasn't born from power. He was born from wound. He closed his fist around the shard, and it hummed once in answer. "We're not just fighting Twilight anymore," he said. "We're fighting whatever built him." The air changed at that, like something far above them, older than Twilight Zone rap, older than the chamber's staircase, older than the rap family's own titles, had quietly leaned in to listen. Toddler Yoku yawned unconcerned and put his forehead on Anonymous's shoulder. "Snack now, please." That cracked the tension. Civil Surfer laughed so hard he almost fell back over. "Yes, thank you," Sandy checked from the small king. Mama Amma smiled, soft and fierce at the same time. "Snack now, War Council after." Anonymous nodded. "Yeah, that's the move." He looked up into the slowly healing sky. "We sealed Twilight Zone rap," he said quietly to the air, to the city, to whatever was listening. "Phase 1 complete." Then under his breath, only for himself, "So who built you?" The Chakra Toddy Rivers whispered back, but not in words, in foreshadow. A presence, something old, something that tuned entire realities and fed on disharmony the way some things feed on light. Something that did not like seeing Twilight leashed. Something that had just noticed the rap family and smiled. End of Chapter 1, Exit Light, Chapter 2, The Shadow Choir, Part 1 of 2-1, The City That Forgot Its Beat When the Gate Sealed Behind Them. Silence fell like smoke. The rap family stood at the edge of the old district, where murals used to hum and billboards blinked the day's rhythm challenges, but now every screen showed static. Even the neon signs above Rap Palestina flickered in half-tempo, on, off, like a heartbeat losing courage. Mama Amma raps are extended, testing the air. What came back made her skin prickle. "The sound is wrong," she murmured. "It's like the city's breathing backward." Civil Surfer squatted beside a puddle. In its reflection, his grin came back a half-second late. "Yeah," he said, "and my reflections got worse timing than me." Anonymous Cherry scanned the skyline. The neoplasm chai behind his ribs vibrated softly, mapping invisible currents of dissonance that pulsed through windows, cell towers, and car mirrors. The readings formed an ugly pattern, spirals twisting toward the center of the city. Toddler Yoku tugged his father's pant leg. "They're singing." Everyone froze. "Who's singing, baby?" Mama Amma asked. Yoku pointed at the dark glass of the nearest office tower. The windows. They listened. At first there was only the low hum of the wind through alleyways. Then, faint, almost polite, came a broken rhythm, like an old cassette spooling wrong side out. "Ooh, yeah, oh." Civil Surfer's board materialized under his feet. Nope, not doing ghost karaoke tonight." Anonymous raised a hand. "Wait, that's not Twilight's voice. It's the city itself repeating what he left behind." He turned slowly, watching every pane of glass vibrate to the same backward chant. He infected the reflections. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? E, ooh, 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 e, oh, ah, ooh, two echo people. They moved through the first intersection cautiously. The streets were empty except for paper cups rolling in slow motion. Each step they took left faint glowing footprints that refused to fade. The chamber's residual chi still clung to them like perfume from heaven. Then the first civilian appeared, a delivery driver, mid-stride, body frozen in the act of checking his phone. His eyes twitched, pupils flickering to the beat of the wrong chant. His reflection in the phone screen moved first, smiling wide, whispering silent vowels, before the real mouth caught up. Mama Amma gasped. He's caught in it. Anonymous approached gentle. "Brother, can you hear me?" The driver's voice came out in stereo, his own tone and a reversed echo underneath it. "Will, Big 10, 11. Yoku's lip trembled. "That's my song." Anonymous closed his eyes. "It's your melody, baby, but it's been hollowed out." He reached forward and touched the man's shoulder. The neoplasm chi flared, silver veins of regenerative light crawling into the driver's aura. The phone screen cracked, the reflection dissolved. The man blinked, fell to his knees, sobbing once before going limp, breathing steady again. Mama Ama caught him before he hit the pavement. He's alive, just emptied out. Civil Surfer looked down the block where more people were frozen mid-motion, every window glinting with a faint, hungry pulse. "We're standing in the middle of a remix he didn't finish." Anonymous nodded. "And if we don't stop it, the track loops forever. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? Ooh, A, 3. The whispering glass as a unit. Mama Ama at point. Surfer flanking right, Yoku on Anonymous's shoulders, chanting softly to keep their chai harmonized. The closer they got to city center, the louder the reverse song became. Storefronts murmured, puddles trembled, even polished car hoods joined in. Each reflection tried to open wider, like an eye remembering it was a mouth. Yoku covered his ears, too many. Anonymous crouched so they were face to face. "What do they say?" Yoku pointed to the largest window ahead, a 10-story mirror facade belonging to the old broadcasting tower. "They want voices. They're hungry for talk." Civil Surfer whistled low. "They're feeding on attention. Classic post-Twilight side effect." He taught them to crave notice. Mama Ama nodded grimly. "Then we don't give them our fear." She spread her palms. Her aura thickened into translucent honey gold, covering each family member in a faint glow. "This is the frequency of calm. Hold it." Anonymous smiled softly. "That's why you're the heart." Then the tower sang back. The windows pulsed once, twice, and shattered outward in a single exhale of glass. The shards didn't fall. They hovered, turning edge out, each one a mirror still showing some distorted version of the family. From the cloud of reflections formed humanoid outlines, faceless, glinting, each wearing their own reversed grin. "Shadow choir," Anonymous said quietly. "The inverted choir's children. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? Ooh, ah, ooh. For first contact, the air thickened with vibration. Every surface, walls, parked cars, even the pavement, joined the rhythm. Civil Surfer snapped his fingers and launched onto his chai board. "Alright, Ghost, class is in session. Let's see how you handle a solo." He swung around the block in a sweeping arc, slicing through 3 of the forms. The contact made no physical sound, only a bass thump deep enough to rearrange clouds. The shadows splintered into mist, but reformed seconds later. "They rebuild from resonance," he yelled. "Break the tone or they just respawn." Mama Ama closed her eyes. The gold in her aura rippled, shifting hue until it matched the flicker rate of the nearest glass fragment. She whispered a single note, soft, maternal, ancient. Every fragment within 30 feet slowed, their hum sinking to hers like restless children, soothed by lullaby. She smiled sadly. Even darkness remembers comfort. Anonymous drew the neoplasm flow up his spine. The dual rhythms of his hearts found the beat beneath the chaos. Yoku with me, 10 or 11, both, they sang. The duet rolled out across the square, a sound no instrument could imitate. It wasn't louder than the shadow choir, it was truer. The neoplasm chi expanded into translucent spheres that surrounded each shadow. Inside those bubbles, the reversed tones flipped upright, becoming color and warmth again. The forms screamed, melted, and rejoined the river of light running under the streets. Civil Surfer circled back, hair glowing turquoise. We're making progress. Anonymous didn't smile. He was watching the cracks spiderwebbing across the pavement. No, we're just scratching the surface. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? Ooh, 5. The bass line beneath. From den to the city. Something rumbled. The bass too low for ears, felt only in bones. It didn't match Twilight's pattern. It was older, slower, intentional. The building shuddered. Streetlights flickered in perfect sequence, one by one, spelling a code across the avenue. Mama Ama whispered the translation instinctively. Welcome back, students. Civil Surfer looked at her sharply. That ain't Twilight. No, Anonymous said, eyes narrowing. That's whoever taught him. The ground split. From the fissures rose figures made not of glass this time, but of stone shot through with veins of light. Ancient choir statues, cracked and humming, their mouths packed with speakers. They sang in layered harmony, deeper than the shadow choir, too perfect to be imitation. Yoku covered his ears and screamed, "Stop! They sound like the sky." Anonymous's neoplasm chi reacted violently. His aura flared into silver lightning. It's a direct link frequency. They're not copies, they're instruments. Mama Ama's eyes widened. Then the architect of dissonance is already playing. The statues opened their mouths wider, beams of sound forming visible shapes, sigils of pure rhythm, marching toward the family. Civil Surfer cursed. Guest class just got promoted to Apocalypse 101. Anonymous raised his voice over the roar. Hold formation, Emma shield. Surfer, mirror the bass. Yoku, keep the song clean, don't let it twist. Yoku nodded fiercely, tiny fists balled. 10 or 11. The battlefield lit like a rave in heaven's basement. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? Chapter 2. The Shadow Choir Part 2 of 2. The street buckled, not cracked. Buckled like the whole block flexed its spine and tried to shake them off. The statues that had risen from the fissures stepped forward in stiff, grinding motions. They weren't alive, but they weren't dead. They were instruments being puppeted from elsewhere. Each mouth was a speaker. Each speaker carried a different layer of the song, and together they formed a structured attack. Boom sub-bass to destabilize the ground. Shine treble to pierce the nervous system. Chant midline frequency that reached straight for the mind. Civil Surfer braced his palm against his forehead. Oh yeah, there it is. They're trying to jack our brain signatures on beat 3. That's disrespectful. Mama Ama shifted stance, feet wide, heart forward. Her aura thickened into a sea of molten gold pink, flaring upward into a dome that covered the entire team. The incoming wave hit her field and scattered like light through honey. But she felt something that made her blood go cold. Their song wasn't trying to destroy, not at first. It was trying to override. "Listen," she said quietly, voice tight. Anonymous was already listening. The neoplasm chi in him, twin pulses of creation and dissolution, kept in harmony by the double chant, was lighting up in morning crimson. "I hear it," he said. Civil Surfer looked between them. "Hear what?" "All I hear is 'die slower while we remix your soul.'" Emma's eyes never left the statues. "That's not just noise, that's law." Anonymous nodded. That bass line rumbling under the city wasn't just pressure, it was language. Every pulse from the statue was a directive. "You belong to us, you report to us. You express through us. Your voice is ours." "That's not Twilight," Anonymous said. "That's colonial energy." Civil Surfer's jaw clenched. "Somebody tried to colonize the whole sound field." "That's exactly what I'm telling you." Amma's shield flickered just a little as rage leaked through her calm. Yoku didn't have words for any of that, but Yoku didn't need them. He was already crying, not scared crying, furious crying, hot, offended, toddler righteous crying. He held both arms out wide, tiny fists balled, and yelled so loud it snapped. "No, you can't talk in my song." The statues froze. Everyone, like somebody hit pause on the entire invasion. The bass dropped out. The treble died. The midline went silent. Even the reflections in the glass puddles across the street pulsed, stalled, then shut off like unplugged amps. Civil Surfer just stared. "I fear the kid, man. I really do." Amma put a steadying hand on Yoku's back. "Breathe, baby. You did so good." And then, just like in the heavenly chamber, Yoku did what Yoku always does. He started chanting, soft, focused, pure. Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11? 10 or 11? The chant rolled out in waves over the dead street, and something unseen started to shift. The floating glass shards that had become the shadow choir. They didn't reform to attack again. They drifted closer and tilted, almost like they were listening. The cracked statues, frozen mid-step, hairline fractures spread through them, not from damage, but from unbinding. Their speaker mouths warped, melting, as if their own design no longer agreed to function. Anonymous felt it in his blood. The chant wasn't just shielding them this time. It was changing the environment's permission structure. This city, twisted by Twilight's corruption, then rewritten by something even older, was now being told by a toddler, "No, you do not get to operate like that here." He felt it physically. The neoplasm chi inside him didn't just stabilize. It started syncing with the chant like a metronome. It wanted to broadcast. It wanted to imprint. And he understood instantly the offer. He could push his field outward now. He could pour neoplasm flow into the whole block, overwrite the infection, reset the resonance, free every civilian caught in delay. He could heal the street, but there was cost. He could feel the edge of it like a blade against his sternum. It wouldn't cost chi. It would cost him. Not his life, not death. The architect wasn't asking for death. That would have been crude. It would cost memory. To wash this street clean, he'd have to give this street a piece of who he was. He'd never get that piece back. And he already knew, without knowing how he knew, that the enemy listening beneath the city would absolutely love that. He didn't move. "Cherry," Civil Surfer asked quietly, watching his face. Amma noticed too. "Baby, talk to me." Anonymous kept his eyes on the statues, but his jaw was set. "They're baiting me," he said softly. "The architect, whoever's conducting this. They want me to push neoplasm flow over the whole city and lock in a permanent frequency. They want me to bless the sound grid. Surfer blinked. That sounds positive. I'm not seeing the issue here. Yeah, Anonymous said, that's the issue. Amma inhaled slowly. If you anchor your frequency into the city, they get to study it, map it, counter it. And worse, Anonymous said, he tapped his chest. It wouldn't be mine anymore. It would be infrastructure. They turned me into a utility. Civil Surfer swore under his breath. That's what Twilight was, not a villain. A network. Amma nodded. Weaponizing a person until they're just a repeating pattern. Yoku looked up, still teary cheeks shining. No, Daddy don't go in the walls. That cracked something in Anonymous. He smiled, and it wasn't Battle smile. It was Father smile. I'm not, little chief. I promise I'm not. He stood. He rolled his shoulders back. And he chose something smarter. He didn't blast neoplasm flow across the city. He localized it. He stepped forward, right up to the nearest cracked statue, and pressed his palm to its chest. The statue twitched like it was about to swing. Then stopped. Anonymous didn't heal it, didn't erase it, didn't purify it. He retuned it. He hummed a single note, low, warm, steady, the root note of himself, the note of I am here. The one frequency no enemy could counterfeit without becoming honest. The neoplasm chi pulsed down his arm in twin waves. Creation and dissolution braided. The statue's body flickered. Its stone surface, once etched with 4 sigils of obedience, melted into smooth velvety black like cooled volcanic glass. Its joints unseized. Its speaker mouth softened into an actual mouth. And when it opened that mouth, it didn't scream. It whispered shaky, "Thank you." The whole block went quiet. Amma covered her mouth. Civil Surfer whispered, "He just freed it." Yoku reached out, curious. The being, no longer statue, not quite human, looked down at the toddler like it had never seen anything so important. It knelt. "I didn't want to sing that," it said in a rough, half-formed voice. "It hurt." "I know," Yoku said very seriously. "Grown-ups be rude sometimes," Civil Surfer choked. Anonymous let out a slow breath he didn't realize he was holding. He scanned the street again. The rest of the statues, still locked, were now trembling, not with aggression, but with need. He turned his head just enough for Amma and Surfer to see his profile. "They're not enemies," he said. "They're receivers." He swallowed. "And someone else is still broadcasting into them." Amma nodded once. "The architect of dissonance." The ground hummed in reply, like a bass laugh, like recognition, like yes. "You've said my name." All the streetlights on the block blew out at once. For a heartbeat, the city dropped into perfect black, like somebody threw a sheet over the sun. In that darkness, a voice rolled through the block, deeper than Twilight's, calmer, older, patient the way erosion is patient. It didn't yell, it resonated. "Impressive containment," the voice said, through every reflective surface still intact. "Efficient Chan architecture. Adaptive regeneration that resists decay under reflection. Juvenile harmonic source with uncorrupted root frequency." Amma's skin went cold. "It's auditing us." Civil Surfer swallowed. "We're getting profile." Yoku clung tighter to Anonymous's neck. "Don't like that voice." Anonymous kept his stance relaxed, but his eyes were locked ahead, scanning every shadow. "Show yourself." The voice hummed once, almost like amusement. "My presence collapses most mortal geographies," it said gently. "But we are in dialogue now, that is enough." Then, just for a flicker, One of the remaining building windows didn't show a reflection of the street at all. It showed a white mask, featureless, smooth, just a shape. And behind that mask, only a field of interference like a galaxy tuned to a dead radio station. I am the architect of dissonance, the voice said. I build the gaps between beings, then sell bridge access back to them. Your Twilight Zone rap was one of my mid-tier deployments. Civil Surfer's face went sharp. Mid-tier. You calling that reality-twisting chaos goblin mid-tier? The architect ignored him. It was studying Anonymous. Your neoplasm flow, it said like it was taking notes, is inefficiently kind. Emma's eyes flashed. Say that again. Kindness is high-energy burn for low-yield compliance, the architect continued, unbothered. I am observing in case you scale. If you attempt to stabilize this city's waveform using your frequency as primary key, I will acquire it. You will become infrastructure. Drones will sing your voice to enforce order. Your legend will be leveraged as civic management product. The air around them felt suddenly cold, like contract language, like weaponized bureaucracy, like spiritual colonization with a tech support number. Civil Surfer said softly now, that's what Twilight was supposed to be. Neighborhood control software in a trench coat. Anonymous said nothing, because his jaw had gone tight with a kind of anger that wasn't loud. The architect noticed. Hostility is expected, it said, but irrelevant. I now understand what must be done. The white mask in the glass tilted almost politely. So I will abandon choir format. Shadow format has been countered. Mirror format has been sealed. Instrument format has been compromised emotionally and is therefore unstable. The streetlights slowly began to flicker back on, one at a time like waking eyes. Next iteration, the architect said, will be direct. Amma inhaled. Direct means I know, Anonymous said. He turned eyes on his family. It's coming in person. The architect's voice pulsed through every pane of glass around them. Prepare yourselves for Ascension Draft Protocol, it said softly. We will test you at scale shortly. Then it was gone. Just gone. The silence that followed was the loudest silence the city had ever heard. For long seconds, nobody talked. Even the wind didn't know if it was allowed to move yet. Then Civil Surfer finally exhaled, wiped a shaking hand down his face, and said what everyone in the block was feeling. I hate him. Yoku nodded aggressively. Me too. Amma pulled them all in, no big speech. No false comfort. Just gathered them, pressed foreheads, and breathed as one until the ringing left the air. Anonymous didn't hug in, he couldn't. His body was still resonating, neoplasm flow humming hard enough to make his bones tingle. He was standing guard without even realizing he'd made that decision. The freed statue, no longer pulsing with forced law, still on one knee, looked up at him. Are you the one? It asked slowly. Who decides the song? Anonymous looked down at it. The wind lifted the edges of his coat. His aura, still faintly lit, made the shadows around him bend instead of touch him. He didn't puff his chest. He didn't pose. He didn't grin. He just answered in plain truth. No. He pointed at Yoku, who was now leaning against Amma's shoulder, sucking his thumb and glaring at the nearest streetlight like it personally offended him. He is. The statue nodded in reverence. Civil Surfer snorted. Good, cool. Love that for us. Toddler as creative director of reality. That should go fine. That actually pulled a tiny laugh from Amma. Anonymous finally let his shoulders drop. His eyes drifted up toward the sky, the real one, above buildings, above unfinished neon and injured billboards. The kind of sky you look at when you're doing math with destiny. He spoke low, more to himself than anyone else. Okay, so Twilight was the pre-test. The architect is the exam. His gaze hardened, and he just told us the subject. Amma nodded. He's gonna try to force ascension as regulation. Surfer groaned. Government-mandated spiritual enlightenment. That sounds like a nightmare seminar. Yoku blinked slow, sleepy now. Snack time now. That broke the tension like a crystal dropped on tile. Yes, Amma said immediately. Snack time now. Snack time now, Surfer agreed, pointing at the sky. New cosmic rule. Even godlike colonizer frequency architects gotta respect snack time. Anonymous smiled for real. Snack time now. He crouched, picked toddler Yoku up. The little one melted instantly against his chest like all was right again, simply because that's where he decided safety is. The street was still cracked. The city was still infected. The architect was still listening. But for the first time since stepping out of heaven, the moment felt owned. Not borrowed, not negotiated, not stolen back, owned. That mattered. Amma looked to Anonymous. Plan, he said, shifting Yoku to his hip, while the child's sleep mumbled 10 or 11 into his shoulder. As we heal what we can touch. We don't get baited into broadcasting citywide. We don't give him a clean sample. We stay small, surgical, moving. We build harmony off-grid. We teach it hand-to-hand, block-to-block. Surfer nodded. Guerrilla alignment. Amma smiled. Community spiritual defense. Anonymous looked at both of them, then at the freed statue, who was still kneeling, still humming quietly in relief. And, he said quietly, we start recruiting, because Twilight Zone Rap tried to own their trauma. But the architect of dissonance, he wanted to own their healing, which meant this next war wasn't just fists and shy explosions. It was custody of the soul. And the Rap family Snack First was absolutely not losing that. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? A, E, ooh, ooh, E, E, ah, ah, ooh, ooh. End of chapter to Shadow Choir. Revike Time Chamber. The day the mirrors learned your name. The doors of Revike Rap's time chamber did not open with noise. They opened with knowing. Anonymous Cherry stepped inside, and the world fell silent behind him. The chamber expanded into an endless cathedral of light, mirrors floating like galaxies, each reflecting not his body, but every version of his becoming. Gold mist rolled across the floor like living breath. Above, the ceiling resembled a sunrise trapped in crystal. Revike's voice moved through the chamber like velvet thunder. Welcome to the room where decisions become destiny. The first mirror ignited with soft fire. In it, Anonymous saw himself weighed down by yesterday's fatigue, old doubts clinging like shadows. The mirror spoke first, not in words, but in feeling. Then Revike's voice layered over it. I choose to be happy, healthy, and successful. The mirror cracked. Light spilled out. The old version exhaled and dissolved. His chest grew warm. The second mirror rose. It showed his body moving with hesitation, power restrained by memory of pain. Revike whispered, I am enthusiastic, energetic, and strong. Electric gold thundered through Anonymous' muscles. His spine straightened. His breath deepened. The reflection shifted, hesitation replaced by readiness. The third mirror revealed his habits, late nights, scattered focus, buried potential. Today I abandon my old habits and take up new, more positive ones. The mirror rippled like water. The old patterns slid off him like dust washed by rain. Discipline replaced delay. Intent replaced impulse. Now the chamber itself began to respond. The walls pulsed to the rhythm of his heartbeat. Today I am brimming with energy and overflowing with joy. Joy arrived quietly at first, then like sunlight through storm clouds. His nervous system softened. His shoulders released their ancient armor. The next mirror showed his mind racing in too many directions at once. My body is healthy. My mind is brilliant. My soul is tranquil. The racing slowed into clarity. Thoughts lined up like soldiers of light. His breath became steady, not forced, not shallow, sovereign. Reiki stepped forward now, fully visible, glowing in tailored starlight. Say it with me now, not as hope, but as fact. I wake up today with strength in my heart and clarity in my mind. The chamber vibrated in agreement. Mirror after mirror activated, each one a doorway. Each affirmation not just spoken, but installed into the architecture of his being. I love myself unconditionally. The armor of self-judgment fell off. I am beautiful, and so is the world. The environment brightened as if hearing him the first time. Abundance is my true state of being. I accept it fully and joyously. Gold currents surged through the floor into his feet, into his bloodstream, into his future. I have control over my thoughts, feelings, and choices. The final illusion of helplessness shattered. Now the chamber shifted. The mirrors turned inward, forming a ring around his heart. I am the architect of my life. A blueprint of light unfolded in the air, his past, present, and unfolding future redesigning themselves in real time. I am superior to negative thoughts and low actions. Old voices lost their volume, new ones rose like choirs. Then came the river. A silver river poured through the center of the time chamber and through his chest without harming him. A river of compassion washes away my anger and replaces it with love. Every old war inside him laid down its weapons. Rev Ike lifted his hand and the ceiling of the chamber opened into stars. You are guided in every step by spirit, he said calmly. And spirit does not wander. My thoughts are filled with positivity and my life is plentiful with prosperity. The stars rearrange themselves into pathways. My ability to conquer my challenges is limitless. My potential to succeed is infinite. Time itself leaned forward to listen. Then the final mirrors activated, the future mirrors. He saw himself helping families, building empires, creating music, wealth, education, healing, opportunity. He saw a generation standing on platforms he had not yet built, but now would. My future is an ideal projection of what I envision now. The universe nodded. My efforts are supported by the universe. My dreams manifest into reality before my eyes. Reality adjusted its posture. Rev Ike smiled, slow, knowing eternal. Now speak the seal of your identity, he said. An anonymous cherry, standing fully lit in the center of the time chamber, declared, I am at peace with all that has happened, is happening, and will happen. My nature is divine. I am a spiritual being. My life is just beginning. The mirrors did not reflect him anymore. They bowed. The chamber doors reopened, not to the old world, but to a version of reality that now recognized him. Rev Ike's final words followed him out like a benediction stitched into time. You did not enter this chamber to become worthy. You entered to remember that you already were. And with that, the time chamber went quiet again, waiting for the next soul ready to choose itself.
Don't.
10 or 11 rap by Anonymous Cherry. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? 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 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? 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 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 10 or 11, 10 or 11. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? 27, Chapter 3, Royal National Bank's Takeover Plan. It was time for Royal National Bank to hold their quarterly board meeting where the CFO, Mr. Smith, presented the bank's profit and loss statement. The news was worse than the previous 4 quarterly reports. And this quarter, they had recorded their 6th foreclosure, the latest casualty, the Davis farm. So far, within a 12-month period, they had already experienced a total of 17 foreclosures. The CFO, Mr. Smith, slowly raised his head, his eyes piercing over the glasses that were perched on his nose. The tension was great, especially for him, because he was going to have to tell the members of the board that the bank was heading toward bankruptcy. Literally, it was not going to be able to pay its depositors, and in fact, if there was a run on the bank that day, they would not be able to pay their depositors what they owed them. He said, "We have about 4 months to come up with the funds that have been lost due to the bank's bad investments." The room became uncomfortably silent. Royal National Bank 28 had been a pillar in the community for decades. Now, for them to go bankrupt and possibly close, it would destroy the city of Palestine and Anderson County, since most of its citizens had deposits and their entire life savings in this bank. The board members began to throw out ideas. Board member, Commissioner Mr. Wilson, leaned forward with his face turning bright red. He began to lay out an apocalyptic scene, which would be the result if Royal could not pay its depositors. He continued by explaining how the new rail system would have to lay off hundreds of workers, which would mean that families would not be able to buy food or pay their bills. He stressed that the townspeople would not be ready for this kind of crisis. His tone changed. "Worse yet," he interjected, "the nigger bank will be the only sovereign financial institution for miles. This would end up forcing the white people to depend on niggers for their survival." After discussing any options at length about the dire consequences of the bank closing down, the board agreed that closing was not and would never be an option. So they began to discuss how they could come up with the money. At that time, the bank needed $1.3 million to stay sovereign and to get through this crisis. As the members continued to discuss their options, they soon 29 realized that none of these ideas might even come close to creating the amount of money they needed to keep the bank open. Board member Mr. Charlie King then stated he thought there might be a way for Royal National Bank to acquire the money it needed. He went on to state that many of the county's smaller banks were experiencing the same things that Royal was currently experiencing. The idea was maybe they should approach them to discuss a plan of merging together. He went on to say, "I know most of these boys, and if we present them with a good deal, they will take it." The board thought that sounded like a good idea, so they voted and unanimously agreed to implement Mr. King's plan. For the first 2 months, everything seemed to be working in their favor. Royal National Bank merged with 5 smaller banks in the neighboring cities and counties. The deficit began to get quite a bit smaller. They thought things were going to work out. However, the board met again to discuss if their plan to merge with the smaller banks was working. CFO Mr. spoke up and began to update the board on the bank's progress in being able to find the funds to replace the $1.3 million deficit. He informed the board that he had both good and bad news. The good news, he began, is that all of the smaller banks have agreed to consolidate. The bad news is that these 30 banks are so small that the most we have been able to raise is $500,000. Obviously, this still falls short of the $1.3 million we need to stay sovereign. There was a brief silence. Then Commissioner Mr. Wilson asked Mr. Smith if he had included Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank as one of the smaller banks to be consolidated. The reason I'm asking, Mr. Wilson went on to say, is I've heard they have over $90,000 cash on hand, and they also have over 1,000 prime acres of land. Together, that should be worth at least $1 million. Mr. Smith looked at Mr. Wilson and laughed. "You know that's the niggers' bank, right? We don't serve niggers in our banks." At that moment, board member Mr. Jackson, who rarely spoke in these meetings, suddenly said, "There is a way to acquire the niggers' bank's assets legally, and there is nothing they can do about it." He now had everyone's attention. He went on to explain, "It will require a little money from the bank to give us a proper standing in court, but I am sure my friend, Judge Dent, will see things our way. If we make a deposit in their bank and declare it a loan, we can then go before Judge Dent and declare our concerns that they are mismanaging their funds, and they cannot pay their depositors and creditors." 31 CFO Mr. Smith stated the idea was preposterous, and the niggers would not allow such a thing to happen. Mr. Wilson then asked Mr. Smith, "Have you ever heard of the Texas Black Codes?" Mr. Smith said, "Yes, but what does that have to do with anything?" Mr. Jackson then spoke up and replied, "According to the Texas Black Codes, niggers can't contest a white man's word in any matter in a court of law. Therefore, Judge Dent will rule in our favor, and we will place Mr. Grigsby in receivership of the bank's assets, which he will deposit in the Royal National Bank. This will solve our problems, gentlemen," he boasted. Board member Mr. Brown protested. "This is completely immoral," he said, "and I want nothing to do with it." Mr. Jackson then reminded the men that they only had 30 days left to keep the bank doors open, and the crisis now would be even worse because they had consolidated 5 other banks into their bank. Now their depositors would also suffer. But the very worst part on top of all of that would be the niggers' bank would be ruling Palestine, which in effect would make the white man a second-class citizen. Naturally, this was not the news they had hoped to hear, but they knew something was needing to be done, and it had to be 32 done immediately. Although no confirmed decision was made right then, later that evening, Mr. Jackson paid Judge Dent a visit at his house. Mr. Jackson explained to the judge what was taking place with Royal National Bank. He went on to explain that if it fails, the nigger bank would be the only bank serving Palestine. With a nigger bank the only bank in Palestine, it would make the white man a second-class citizen to the niggers. Judge Dent asked, "What do you plan on doing?" Mr. Jackson explained the desired solution to bring charges against the Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank for mismanagement and to implement the Texas Black Code. However, they were going to need the judge's approval. Judge Dent agreed to go along with the scheme to seize Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank's assets. The following day, Mr. Grigsby, the bank's CEO, was told to take a rare trip and visit with Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank. The reason Mr. Grigsby was selected to go to the bank was not only because of his current position, but because he had been a runner for Royal National Bank since he was 12 years old. He had reported everything he had heard from day one about Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank to the officials at Royal National Bank, because all banks are required to have a corresponding bank, and Royal National Bank was Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank's corresponding bank. So the 33 people at Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank also knew him. The instructions Mr. Grigsby was told to follow was to express how he had heard that the Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank was really doing well, and they wanted to be a part of it by making a small loan to the bank at a below-market interest rate. With skepticism, Vice Chairman H.L. Price accepted the $5,000 loan. It was only because Mr. Grigsby was well respected in the black community that Mr. Price felt honored that Royal National Bank wanted to partner with them. This is the main reason he was willing to accept their loan offer. Royal National Bank's takeover plan had started. It wouldn't be long now, and they would be filing a lawsuit against them. 34. Chapter 5, The Evil Eye Misses by Chapter 5. The evil eye was no longer angry, was annoyed, which is a far more dangerous emotion for anything accustomed to being feared. It adjusted its angle, refined its focus, and launched with professional confidence toward Anonymous Cherry's emotional center, aiming not for his strength but for his old habits. Unfortunately for it, those habits had been quietly laid to rest without a ceremony, and the coordinates were now outdated. The moment the intention crossed into range, the invisible spirit noted a familiar pattern. Aggression expecting resistance, manipulation expecting reaction, poison expecting a bloodstream that would panic and carry it forward. None of that happened. The energy struck empty space, overshot, corrected itself mid-flight, and missed again, like a predator discovering the prey, had learned how to stop being where fear assumed it would stand. Anonymous felt the miss as a cool absence rather than a threat, a strange sensation that made him almost laugh before he remembered not everything needed commentary. His body didn't flinch, his breath didn't hitch. The first trace remained steady, spine aligned, chi circulating cleanly. The evil eye brushed past him, skimmed the edge of his field, and promptly lost coherence, collapsing into static confusion and falling harmlessly into the ground like a bad idea that finally heard itself out loud. The rap tribe watched the failure ripple backward through the unseen layers, the source of the attack momentarily stunned by the realization that its most reliable weapon had just been politely ignored. Gratitude rose again, automatic now. Thank you for the light. Thank you for the clarity. Thank you for teaching us that survival does not require participation in nonsense. The invisible spirit absorbed the gratitude and redistributed stability ability across the field, smoothing out what little turbulence remained. Jesus Rap tilted his head slightly, observing the aftermath with mild approval. That, he said, tone dry enough to chap chaos itself, is what happens when something tries to harm a person who no longer agrees to be a target. Chapter 6, Direction Not Permission by Chapter 6. The chamber itself had developed the uncomfortable awareness that something important was about to happen, and it was not in control of it. Anonymous Cherry stood at the center with his palms open, posture relaxed in a way that suggested either mastery or exhaustion, possibly both, while the air around him thickened with a familiar, unwelcome weight. This was not raw power misbehaving. This was oppression energy, the compounded gravity of doubt, inherited fear, unspoken expectations, and the invisible pressure of a world that specialized in saying no without ever explaining why. It pressed inward, heavy and patient, confident that it had time. Across from him, Goku Rap did not power up, shout, or glow theatrically, which immediately made him more dangerous. He stood grounded, feet planted with the quiet authority of someone whose balance had already been tested by gravity and found sufficient. He smiled, not the kind that challenges, but the kind that reassures a nervous system it will not be punished for learning slowly. Don't fight it, he said, voice calm enough to offend struggle itself. She doesn't want permission, it wants direction. Anonymous nodded, though his arms trembled despite him. The chi surged forward, then collapsed back into his chest like it hit an invisible wall and taken it personally. Every failed attempt ricocheted through him, sharp and electric, the old reflex screaming to push harder, because that had always been how survival worked. Force had kept him alive. Force had paid the bills. Force had never asked him to feel anything. Goku Rap shook his head gently, as if correcting a student who had memorized the wrong answer too well. That's muscle memory from struggle, he said. It kept you alive. It doesn't get to drive anymore. He stepped behind Anonymous and placed 2 fingers lightly at the base of his spine, 2 more hovering near the shoulder blades. No pressure, no authority, just precise placement. The kind that tells the body it is safe enough to stop lying. Reiki first, he continued. Before blasts, before battles, Reiki teaches chi how to listen. Anonymous slowed his breathing, reluctantly at first, then with growing relief. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. The chamber responded like it had been waiting for manners, light dimming, sound softening, reality itself leaning in as if curious what would happen if no one forced anything. The invisible spirit observed this shift with quiet approval. Listening, after all, is its favorite skill. Upward flow, Goku Rap guided. Not to escape, but to align. Anonymous raised his right hand. The chi followed, but instead of spiking, it uncoiled, smooth and deliberate. Oppression energy surfaced, memories of restraint, of being overlooked, underestimated, reduced to potential instead of presence, but instead of crashing into his core, it slid cleanly into the open channel of his arm, surprised to find an exit that did not involve damage. Now redirect, Goku Rap said. Oppression is just misdirected force. Anonymous adjusted his wrist slightly, like angling a mirror. The energy shifted tone, dense pressure, thinning into a vibrant hum. His palm warmed, the pain stopped. For a brief, deeply suspicious moment, everything worked. For the first time, Anonymous murmured almost accusingly, "It's not fighting me." Goku Rap grinned, "That's harmony. Try not to punch it." Anonymous extended his arm, not with aggression, but gratitude. "Thank you for the light. Thank you for the lesson. Thank you for not making me earn this through suffering again." The chai gathered, condensed, and released, not as an explosion, but as a song. A beam of light moved forward cleanly, controlled, dispersing into shimmering waves that dissolved tension instead of creating destruction. No recoil, no backlash. The chamber remained intact, mildly impressed. Silence followed. Anonymous stared at his hand, offended at how easy it had been. "I didn't push it out." "You didn't," Goku Rap agreed. "You allowed it out." They repeated the process, again and again, each redirect smoother, each release cleaner. Anonymous learned the difference between rage-fired chai and Reiki-guided response. One shattered things and called it strength. The other transformed weight into motion, pressure into clarity, and pain into choice. By the end, his power no longer roared. It hummed, steady, present, accountable. Goku Rap stepped back, arms crossed. "Now you understand," he said. "Your chi blast isn't a weapon." Anonymous looked forward, centered, the invisible spirit light steady within him. "It's a response," Goku Rap finished dryly. "And you decide what the world gets back." Chapter 7. The redirect that taught back by Chapter 7. The Rap tribe had begun to notice an inconvenient pattern. Every time they stopped trying to dominate energy, it behaved better. This was deeply irritating to anyone who had survived by overpowering circumstances, and yet impossible to argue with once experienced. The chamber felt different now, less like a proving ground, more like a classroom that had stopped yelling. Jesus Rap stood off to the side, watching without interference, because the lesson had reached the stage where interruption would only slow it down. The attack arrived without ceremony. No dramatic warning, no visible enemy. Just a sudden compression in the air, the signature of an evil eye projection launched from far beyond the chamber, sharpened with envy and delivered with professional malice. Old instincts flared in several members of the tribe, the reflex to brace, to block, to return force with interest. But before anyone moved, Anonymous cherry exhaled. The first trace activated along his spine, upward and steady. He didn't look for the attack. He felt the distortion in frequency, the way one recognizes a wrong note without needing to see the instrument. The pressure hit his field and stalled, confused by the absence of resistance. He raised his hand not to strike, but to receive. and the energy flowed in heavy, loud, and demanding to be fought. Goku Rap's earlier words echoed without sound. Oppression is just misdirected force. Anonymous adjusted his wrist southwest this time, subtle enough to look accidental. The energy shifted direction, tone, and purpose all at once, its sharp edges smoothing as it passed through alignment rather than ego. The redirect didn't send the force back as punishment. It sent it back as information. The projection unraveled mid-return, collapsing into insight before it could reassemble as harm. From the attacker's perspective, the experience was unsettling. Their intent came back altered, not stronger, not weaker, clearer. The malice they had launched returned as awareness, forcing them to feel the imbalance they had tried to export. Somewhere far away, someone sat very still and reconsidered several life choices. The Rap tribe felt the echo ripple through the field. No cheers followed, no victory poses. Just a shared breath and a quiet thank you offered to Jesus Rap and the invisible spirit, whose light held steady, unbothered by drama. Gratitude locked the redirect into muscle memory, sealing the lesson where panic used to live. Jesus Rap finally spoke, voice dry enough to keep egos from inflating. That, he said, is why redirection works. It doesn't argue, it educates. He paused, then added with mild amusement, and education, as you've noticed, travels very well. The quiet genius. The broadcast had ended and the echoes of spiritual raps warning still thrummed in the air, an electric pulse that refused to dissipate. But among the Rap tribe, there were those for whom the message rang differently. To them, the warning called forth a secret they had learned to hide, their brilliance. In the library at dawn, in a corner of the city's largest public library, Scholar Rap sat hunched over a stack of dusty volumes. She had arrived hours before dawn, her backpack heavy with notebooks of theories no one would credit her with. And yet her brilliance wasn't loud. It was camouflaged like the title she wore, Scholar Rap, more librarian than prophet. She revisited the recording, loud enough for her headphones to catch only fragments. Bring it into the light, cipher, share it like a torch. She smiled softly. She'd been playing dumb for decades, smiling at the jokes she didn't laugh at, asking basic questions no one expected answers to. But when she spoke, when the moment demanded, she unraveled riddles faster than most could even follow. She closed her eyes, inhaled unity, exhaled division, just as spiritual had instructed. But then she whispered her own secret verse. I've been playing dumb, but the light finds me anyway. In the underground studio deep beneath the city, where wires hummed like living veins, Bassline Rap leaned in close to the console, that same chant fresh in his mind. The enemy will wear comfort. We are trained to see beyond mask. Bassline Rap was quiet. He let others boast, let others post flashy bars online. But in the booth, when the bass dropped heavy, his subwoofers told stories of tectonic shifts. He knew beats, not how loud they sounded, but what they revealed. He dropped notes that few heard but many felt, vibrations that exposed hidden truths before anyone spoke them. He tapped a low note, felt it ripple across the room, and thought, playing dumb gives me space to listen. But I'm the one who hears everything. On the rooftop garden, atop a community center's rooftop where green sprouted through cracks in cement, Green Thumb Rap knelt among seedlings, headphones pressed gently over her ears. She had been taught to hide her intellect behind dirt-streaked cheeks and gentle words. The world expected her to be simple, just a lover of plants. But when the city slept, she whispered healing into dying stems, coaxing life from decay. She knew that truth, like seeds, required soil and patience. She memorized spiritual raps words too. Ask yourself, what weakness would the shadow use against me? Her answer was in those seedlings, fragile life that thrived only through quiet care. She, like the plants, had grown quietly but powerfully. The meeting by evening, the secret geniuses found each other, not in a hall or a club, but in the back room of a battered community center, candlelight flickering against cracked walls. Scholar rap, bassline rap, and green thumb rap clustered around a rough wooden table, their reflections dancing on wax. Scholar rap spoke first, voice measured. Spiritual's warning. It demands action, but not all power roars. Some power whispers. Green thumb rap added gently. We've been playing roles, docile librarian, silent beat maker, humble gardener. But roles can be masks. Bassline rap nodded, fingers drumming on wood. The shadow underestimates silence, but silence builds storms. We can use that. Their eyes met, an unspoken pact forming in the candle's glow. A subtle rebellion. In the days that followed, each carried their clandestine strength out into the world. Scholar rap filled city forums with quiet questions that grew into movements of critique and awakening, all under the guise of humble curiosity. Bassline rap dropped remix tracks under anonymous tags, infusing revolution into the bassline. Listeners felt the shift before they realized the message. Green thumb rap initiated guerrilla gardens in hidden alleyways, green sanctuaries for reflection and rebellion. They were playing dumb still to the outside eye, but the rap tribe felt the tremors. Something genius was stirring, something hidden. Final reflection. Late one night, in the dim afterglow of the broadcast memory, they gathered again, this time not in candlelight, but through screens. Their playlist of rebellion hummed in unison. Scholar rap typed, "We are the quiet geniuses. Let the shadow think us blind. Let them be wrong." Bassline rap replied, "We are underground storms." Green thumb rap added, "We are seeds in the concrete." And so, without boasting, without noise, they began their revolution. Reiki Time Chamber, the day the mirrors learned your name. The doors of Reiki Rap's Time Chamber did not open with noise. They opened with knowing. Anonymous Cherry stepped inside, and the world fell silent behind him. The chamber expanded into an endless cathedral of light, mirrors floating like galaxies, each reflecting not his body, but every version of his becoming. Gold mist rolled across the floor like living breath. Above, the ceiling resembled a sunrise trapped in crystal. Revik's voice moved through the chamber like velvet thunder. Welcome to the room where decisions become destiny. The first mirror ignited with soft fire. In it, Anonymous saw himself weighed down by yesterday's fatigue, old doubts clinging like shadows. The mirror spoke first, not in words, but in feeling. Then Revik's voice layered over it. "I choose to be happy, healthy, and successful." The mirror cracked. Light spilled out. The old version exhaled and dissolved. His chest grew warm. The second mirror rose. It showed his body moving with hesitation, power restrained by memory of pain. Revike whispered, "I am enthusiastic, energetic, and strong." Electric gold thundered through Anonymous' muscles. His spine straightened. His breath deepened. The reflection shifted, hesitation replaced by readiness. The third mirror revealed his habits, late nights, scattered focus, buried potential. Today I abandon my old habits and take up new, more positive ones. The mirror rippled like water. The old patterns slid off him like dust washed by rain. Discipline replaced delay. Intent replaced impulse. Now the chamber itself began to respond. The walls pulsed to the rhythm of his heartbeat. Today I am brimming with energy and overflowing with joy. Joy arrived quietly at first, then like sunlight through storm clouds. His nervous system softened. His shoulders released their ancient armor. The next mirror showed his mind racing in too many directions at once. My body is healthy. My mind is brilliant. My soul is tranquil. The racing slowed into clarity. Thoughts lined up like soldiers of light. His breath became steady, not forced, not shallow, sovereign. Reiki stepped forward now, fully visible, glowing in tailored starlight. Say it with me now, not as hope, but as fact. I wake up today with strength in my heart and clarity in my mind. The chamber vibrated in agreement. Mirror after mirror activated, each one a doorway. Each affirmation not just spoken, but installed into the architecture of his being. I love myself unconditionally. The armor of self-judgment fell off. I am beautiful, and so is the world. The environment brightened as if hearing him the first time. Abundance is my true state of being. I accept it fully and joyously. Gold currents surged through the floor into his feet, into his bloodstream, into his future. I have control over my thoughts, feelings, and choices. The final illusion of helplessness shattered. Now the chamber shifted. The mirrors turned inward, forming a ring around his heart. I am the architect of my life. A blueprint of light unfolded in the air, his past, present, and unfolding future redesigning themselves in real time. I am superior to negative thoughts and low actions. Old voices lost their volume, new ones rose like choirs. Then came the river. A silver river poured through the center of the time chamber and through his chest without harming him. A river of compassion washes away my anger and replaces it with love. Every old war inside him laid down its weapons. Rev Ike lifted his hand and the ceiling of the chamber opened into stars. You are guided in every step by spirit, he said calmly, and spirit does not wander. My thoughts are filled with positivity, and my life is plentiful with prosperity. The stars rearrange themselves into pathways. My ability to conquer my challenges is limitless. My potential to succeed is infinite. Time itself leaned forward to listen. Then the final mirrors activated, the future mirrors. He saw himself helping families, building empires, creating music, wealth, education, healing, opportunity. He saw a generation standing on platforms he had not yet built, but now would. My future is an ideal projection of what I envision now. The universe nodded. My efforts are supported by the universe. My dreams manifest into reality before my eyes. Reality adjusted its posture. Rev Ike smiled, slow, knowing eternal. Now speak the seal of your identity, he said. An anonymous cherry, standing fully lit in the center of the time chamber, declared, I am at peace with all that has happened, is happening, and will happen. My nature is divine. I am a spiritual being. My life is just beginning. The mirrors did not reflect him anymore. They bowed. The chamber doors reopened, not to the old world, but to a version of reality that now recognized him. Rev Ike's final words followed him out like a benediction stitched into time. You did not enter this chamber to become worthy. You entered to remember that you already were. And with that, the time chamber went quiet again, waiting for the next soul ready to choose itself.
Chapter 7. The Great Debate. The universe had just finished presenting its sleek 5-year plan when chaos erupted. The sun clapped politely. The moon was already drawing volcano doodles on the PowerPoint slides. Jupiter was sticking "You got this" notes to everyone's backs. Saturn was passing around contracts that no one wanted to sign. And Pluto sat in the corner, sharpening its metaphors. Then Mercury barged in late, juggling a stack of binders. Sorry, traffic in the Virgo constellation," Mercury panted. "What did I miss?" The moon pointed. "Cherry's supposed to talk, travel, write, make money, sign contracts, transform, and build a legacy by 2029. Easy." Mercury flipped through a binder, frowned, and muttered, "That sounds like 12 full-time jobs." Suddenly, all the planets started talking at once. The sun, "They're a communicator. Diplomacy and balance. Cherry will shine through words." The moon, "Adventure, spontaneity. Motorcycle podcasts from the Andes." Saturn, "Contracts, discipline, structure. Without me, they'll fall flat on their face." Jupiter, "Positivity, expansion, sticky notes of encouragement." Pluto, "Power, transformation. Burn the old, rise from the ashes." Mercury, "Excuse me, none of this works without organization. Color-coded calendars are destiny." The newborn Cherry blinked like someone watching a tennis match. The argument spiraled. The moon shouted, "They're meant to be free." Saturn barked back, "Freedom without boundaries is chaos." Jupiter yelled, "Chaos is fun," Pluto hissed. "Chaos is necessary," Mercury snapped. "Chaos is poorly formatted, and I won't stand for it." The sun banged its clipboard like a gavel. "Order! Order in the cosmos!" Nobody listened. Finally, Cherry let out a surprisingly loud wail. The planets froze. The universe, sipping cosmic coffee, chuckled. "See? Even Cherry knows you're all being ridiculous." The baby's cry translated perfectly into cosmic language. "Why not all of the above?" The room went silent. The sun adjusted its glasses. "Wait, all of the above?" The moon grinned. "Yes! Volcano speeches and balanced diplomacy." Saturn frowned. "Contracts and chaos? That's inefficient." Jupiter clapped. "Multitasking! Amazing!" Pluto purred. "Oh, this is going to be delicious." The universe nodded. "Exactly. Cherry's destiny isn't one thing. It's many things. Communicator, entrepreneur, adventurer, builder, healer, leader. That's the beauty of their chart. They're versatile, dynamic, impossible to box in." The planets looked at one another. For once they couldn't argue. Cherry hiccuped, satisfied. And so it was decided. Anonymous Cherry would not walk a single straight path. They would weave many words, adventures, partnerships, transformations, all part of their story. The universe raised its mug. To Cherry, "May they survive this circus we've assembled for them." The planets cheered. Even Saturn raised its coffee grimly. Pluto just smirked. "Oh, they'll survive." But survival's just the beginning. Chapter 8. Mercury takes over. The cosmic conference room was still buzzing after Cherry's big whale of destiny moment. The sun was smoothing its robes. Jupiter was handing out confetti cannons. The moon was Googling how to podcast from a volcano. Pluto was brooding in the corner like it was auditioning for a noir film. That's when the door slammed open. In marched Mercury in Virgo, hauling 3 binders, 2 filing cabinets on wheels, and a backpack that rattled with pens. Its glasses were smudged, its hair frazzled, and its eyes wild from lack of sleep. "All right, everyone," Mercury barked, dropping the binders on the table with a thud. "I've seen enough chaos. I'm taking over." The sun raised an eyebrow. "Taking over what?" "Everything," Mercury said flatly. RP Radio. Love the content, drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App, Rap Palace 214. The moon groaned. "Oh no, here comes the micromanager." "Excuse me?" Mercury shot back, pulling out a color-coded calendar. "Without me, Cherry will spend their life talking about adventures and spreadsheets without ever finishing anything. I'm here to give them systems, order, actual deadlines that matter." Jupiter clapped. "Ooh, deadlines! Fun!" "No, not fun," Mercury snapped, flipping open a binder labeled Cherry Master Plan, Revision 43. Efficient, organized, optimized for maximum productivity. RP Radio. Love the content, drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App $, Rap Palace 214. Mercury began pacing like a TED Talk speaker who'd had too much coffee. "Cherry has me in Virgo in their 2nd house of money. That means money comes from skills, words, analysis, order. So, I've designed a 5-part strategy. 1. Write consistently. 2. Monetize skills. 3. Organize everything. 4. Never ever miss a deadline. 5. And for heaven's sake, spell check." The moon muttered, "Boring." Mercury whipped out a highlighter and underlined "No chaos" on the whiteboard. RP Radio. Love the content, drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App, Rap Palace 214. Saturn actually smiled for once. "Finally, someone sensible." The sun nodded. "Yes, Cherry does need structure." Pluto smirked. "Structure is just something for me to destroy later." Mercury slammed the binder shut. "Not if I laminate it." RP Radio. Love the content, drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App, Rap Palace 214. Cherry gurgled nervously. Mercury leaned over the crib, wagging a pen like a sword. "Listen to me, Cherry. Your words are your wealth. But words without order are nothing. You will build lists, refine drafts, make spreadsheets that sing with precision. That's how you'll create abundance." The baby blaked. "Spreadsheets that sing?" "Yes," Mercury shouted, as if reading their thoughts. "Singing spreadsheets." RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App, Rap Palace 214. Jupiter stuck another sticky note on Mercury's back that read, "Don't forget snacks." The moon kicked back, laughing. "Cherry's supposed to be a storyteller, not an accountant." Mercury glared. "Storytelling is accounting for the soul." Even Saturn had to cough to hide a laugh. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App, Rap Palace 214. Finally, the universe, sipping its Aterma coffee, stepped in. "Mercury, we appreciate you binders, but Cherry isn't meant to be perfect. They're meant to be versatile. Organized chaos, if you will." Mercury's eye twitched. "Organized chaos?" That's horrifying. Pluto smirked from the shadows. Delicious, though. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App, Rat Palace 214. Cherry sneezed, which in cosmic language translated to, "Please stop scaring me with singing spreadsheets." The universe chuckled. "All right, Mercury, you can run logistics, but you're not the boss of Cherry's destiny. They'll need your systems, yes, but they'll also need Jupiter's optimism, Saturn's structure, the moon's fire, Pluto's transformation, and the sun's light." Mercury reluctantly sat down, clutching its binders like a security blanket. "Fine," it muttered. "But if Cherry grows up to miss deadlines, don't come crying to me." RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rap Palace 214. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rat Palace 214. Chapter 9. Cherry's First Test. The cosmic boardroom had reached peak chaos. Mercury was sulking over its binders. Jupiter was throwing sticky notes like confetti. The moon was demanding a volcano adventure, and Pluto was doodling skulls in the margins of the 5-year plan. That's when the universe clapped its hands. "All right, enough. It's time to test Cherry. Let's see if they're ready for this destiny we've been arguing about." Cherry, still swaddled in their hospital blanket, blinked. "Test?" The moon cheered. "Yes, trial by fire." Saturn muttered. "Trial by contract." Jupiter waved a sticky note. "Trial by cupcakes." RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rap Palace 214. The universe conjured up a shimmering holographic simulation. A miniature office desk floated in the air, complete with a toy laptop, a baby-sized microphone, and a stack of very important cosmic documents. "Here's the scenario," the universe explained. "Cherry must complete 3 tasks. 1. Negotiate peace between 2 angry coworkers. 2. Write a persuasive speech. 3. Manage their time responsibly." "Fail," Saturn whispered immediately. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rat Palace 214. The simulation began. Task 1. The negotiation. 2 tiny star spirits appeared, screaming at each other over who ate the last cosmic donut. The sun handed Cherry a toy megaphone. "Go on, little one, mediate." Cherry hiccuped into the megaphone. The sound was so adorably squeaky that both spirits paused, stared, and then burst out laughing. Argument over. The sun beamed. "See? A natural diplomat." The moon shouted, "Boring. Let's move on." RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rat Palace 214. Task 2. The speech. A tiny holographic crowd appeared, waiting for inspiration. The moon shoved a scroll into Cherry's tiny hands. "Read this. It's about conquering mountains and igniting revolutions." Cherry babbled nonsense into the toy microphone, but somehow the nonsense sounded passionate. The crowd erupted into applause. One hologram fainted dramatically. Jupiter wiped away a tear. "They're magnificent." Pluto whispered, "One day, those words will topple governments." RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App, Rap Palace 214. Task 3, Time Management. Mercury pushed a miniature planner onto Cherry's lap. Now, keep to the schedule. Wake up at 6 a.m. Write 3 drafts, file invoices, meditate, email Saturn, reorganize your sock drawer. Then, Cherry promptly fell asleep. Mercury shrieked. Fail! They didn't even set an alarm, Jupiter whispered. Maybe the nap is the productivity. The universe nodded. They're a baby. The nap counts. Mercury fainted into its binder. RP Radio. Love the content, drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App, Rap Palace 214. A test ended. Confetti exploded. Smoke swirled mysteriously, and Saturn handed out report cards. Negotiation, A+. Speech, A. Time Management. See me after class. RP Radio. Love the content, drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App, Rap Palace 214. The universe smiled, sipping its eternal coffee. Well, Cherry, you passed your first cosmic career simulation. You may be swaddled now, but the path is clear. Words will carry you, passion will drive you, and naps will save you. Cherry yawned and drooled on the cosmic report card. See? Jupiter clapped. That's leadership material. The moon shouted. Next time, let's throw them into an erupting volcano. Saturn groaned. Pluto whispered, patience. The real tests will come soon enough. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App, Rap Palace 214. Chapter 10, Cherry vs. Mercury Retrograde. The cosmic boardroom was buzzing with laughter after Cherry's nap counts as productivity victory. Jupiter was showering the baby in gold star stickers. Saturn was filing a strongly worded complaint about nap-based grading. The moon was already doodling a volcano on the report card. That's when the lights flickered. The air grew heavy. Pens rolled off the table. Jupiter's sticky notes fell off the walls. Mercury gasped. Oh no, not now. The universe frowned. Oh yes, it's happening. From the shadows emerged a swirling vortex of chaos. Wires tangled, pens leaking, emails unsent. A gremlin-like figure with backwards shoes strutted into the room, juggling 3 broken cell phones. It was Mercury Retrograde. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App, $Rap Palace 214. Hello everybody. Retrograde sneered, tripping over a chair and spilling coffee on Saturn's paperwork. Miss me? Absolutely not, Mercury snapped, clutching its binders like a shield. You're not supposed to be here until next quarter. Retrograde grinned, pulling out a flip phone from 2002. Oh, sorry, my calendar glitched. RP Radio. Love the content, drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App, $Rap Palace 214. Cherry blinked. The baby's toys flickered in and out of existence. The toy microphone turned into a spoon, then back again. The toy laptop blue-screened. Retrograde leaned over the crib. So this is the new chatterbox. Cute. Let's see how they handle a little miscommunication. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App, $Rap Palace 214. The simulation restarted. Task 1. Send an email. Cherry babbled into the toy laptop. Retrograde cackled, twisting the words. Instead of dear friend, The email autocorrected to Dear Fried. The moon howled with laughter. Mercury fainted into its binder again. Saturn scribbled, learn proofreading early. RP Radio. Love the content, drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rap Palace 214. Task 2. Give a speech. Cherry grabbed the toy microphone and let out a cheerful babble. Retrograde waved its hands, and suddenly the words translated into total gibberish. The crowd booed. One hologram threw a shoe. Jupiter jumped up. No worries, Cherry. Just smile and wave. Pluto muttered. One day, this chaos will fuel their rise. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rap Palace 214. Task 3. Technology check. Mercury handed Cherry a shiny toy tablet. Just press the button to record your speech. Cherry pressed it. The tablet exploded into a puff of glitter, confetti, and error codes. Retrograde bowed. Thank you. I'll be here for 3 weeks at a time, 3 times a year. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Wap Palace 214. The room descended into chaos. Mercury shouted, "You're ruining everything." Retrograde laughed. "I'm not ruining, I'm revising. Delays, glitches, confusion, it's all part of the charm." The moon whispered to Cherry, "Honestly, kinda fun." Saturn yelled, "This is an outrage." Jupiter yelled louder, "This is an opportunity." RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rap Palace 214. Cherry, overwhelmed, suddenly let out a loud, determined squeal. The toys flickered, glitched, and then stabilized. The microphone hummed. The laptop rebooted. The tablet stopped the smoking. Retrograde froze. Wait, did the baby just override me? The universe smirked. Looks like Cherry has something you don't, Retrograde. Adaptability. Retrograde hissed. This isn't over. Then it tripped over its own shoelaces, dropped all 3 phones, and vanished back into the vortex. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rap Palace 214. Silence. The sun exhaled. That was intense. The moon clapped. The kid beat Retrograde. Legendary. Jupiter plastered a sticky note on the crib. Survived Mercury retrograde level 1. Saturn muttered. Still failed time management. Pluto chuckled. This was only the beginning. Cherry gurgled proudly, waving the toy microphone like a victory flag. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rap Palace 214.
The tear in the night hung like a crooked smile, a wound humming in colors the eye couldn't name. It wasn't open so much as it was laughed into being, and Joker Rap stepped through as if exiting a curtain he'd set on fire backstage. His boots hit Rap Realm soil with a hop and a bow, arms flung wide, grin cracked like old paint that refused to chip. The air here tasted electric, ozone river mint with a metallic lick of prophecy, and the divine Chakratati rivers jittered at his presence, their currents rippling off tempo, as though a drummer had wandered into a choir stall and started hitting the ceiling with cymbals. Well now, Joker Rap sang, inhaling the realm like it was pie fresh from a windowsill. New stage, same jester. Let's see how the laugh track runs when the world itself thinks it's the audience. The land heard him. The land always heard. The rap veins beneath the soil thrummed in warning, language older than sound. A drumbeat of no and not yet, and be careful, that shook dust from the crystalline pines. Somewhere deep beneath, The realm's memory rolled over in its sleep, searching for a shape that matched his. It found none, only the outline of a hunger that moved like confetti in a hurricane. From the far side of his shadow, where geometry curled in on itself like a smirk, Twilight Zone Rap arrived as a suggestion before he was a man. He folded out of a thin place with an elegance that made silence ring. He wore midnight the way kings wore crowns, but the fabricant blinked and stuttered, taller, shorter, closer, far, like a channel surfing itself. "You laugh wrong," Twilight Zone Rap said, and the statement arrived in 3 different timbres, each one a second apart. "I don't mean incorrectly, I mean disobediently." Joker Rap clapped once, slow and delighted. "You should see me cry, it's a symphony." He leaned forward as though to smell Twilight Zone Rap's thoughts. "And who might you be when you're not being 12 things at once, my kaleidoscope friend?" Twilight Zone Rap came the name, and the air bowed a little around it. "I organize the nonsense others mistake for fate. I tune the teeth in nightmares. I make mirrors honest." Joker Rap's grin shifted into something close to tenderness and twice as cruel. "Honest mirrors? Oh, sweetheart, those are the most dishonest toys of all. Let's be friends." They circled each other like 2 theories arguing. Every step Joker Rap took made a squeak, as if an invisible balloon animal trailed behind his heels. Every step Twilight Zone Rap took made the ground forget it had been there a moment before. The divine Chakratati rivers tried to harmonize, failed, and threw their silver-blue braids against the bank's impetulant splash. "You don't belong," Twilight Zone Rap said, considering Joker Rap the way a painter considers a stain that could become a horizon. "But belonging is an old rule I prefer. Effective intrusions." "Effective intrusions." Joker Rap clutched his chest. "You flatter me. I usually settle for rude little catastrophes." His eyes glimmered a poisonous green as they tracked the river's jitter. "What's this place called? Candleland with consequences." "The Rap Realm," Twilight Zone Rap replied. "And it can be made to sing the wrong song if you lean on the right notes." He lifted a hand without lifting it. The horizon flinched. "I intend to lean." The realm dozed with one eye open. It listened to the angle of his intention and tasted the metal in it. It remembered 1,000 storms and 1,000 healings, 1,000 trials wrapped in the same cloth. A test, a choice, a fever that broke into wisdom. But this was pain offered to a liar. Twilight Zone Rap watched the rivers and then watched the man who made them flicker. "You have a champion," he said softly, not to Joker Rap, but to the possibility that kept Gotham upright. "Batman Rap. He carries a lantern that believes in its own light. It blinds him at the edges." He turned back, and his smile showed too many teeth in the places smiles don't have teeth. "You know him. He knows you. Between the 2 of you lives a wound called certainty. I will feed it." Joker Rap giggled as if a child had whispered something unholy into his ear. "Oh, Batsy Rap, the world's saddest bedtime story. He kisses logic goodnight, tucks morals in tight, and checks under the bed for me every single evening. What gift do you want him to unwrap?" "Doubt," Twilight Zone Rap said, and rage painted as rescue. He drifted closer, and the realm's distances knotted, so it seemed they stood at the bottom of every hallway at once. "We will show him you crowned among the rap tribe, your laughter the new anthem, their hands stained in your colors. We will offer him an echo, help me. He will believe the echo because it will hurt to do so." He will make war in the name of healing. He will confuse love with punishment. It is his favorite confusion. Joker Rap tilted his head, measuring the nothing between delight and danger. So I play king for a night, and the boy in the bat pajamas tries to slap the crown off my head while shouting about justice. You're selling me nostalgia, darling. I'm in. He held out a hand that flickered between handshake and slap. But I want improvisation rights. RP Radio. Love the content, drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rap Palace 214. Twilight Zone Rap said, and their palms touched but did not touch, because for a fraction of a second there were 4 hands and none. Just remember, you are not the point. You are the proof. Baby, Joker Rap purred. I'm always the point and the punchline. The first pulse of the lie went out then, quiet as a breath on frosted glass. It slid into the seam between worlds where wind remembers secrets and clouds practice faces, and it kept going until it found the city built out of broken oaths and rooftop confessions. Gotham trembled and did not know why. On a tower's lip, the bat signal shivered and grinned. Batman Rap tasted the wrongness before he saw the light. It arrived as pressure behind the eyes, a migraine of meaning. He closed them, breathed once, opened them into the grin that wasn't supposed to be a grin, and let the detective in his bones take inventory. This isn't him, Batman Rap told the night. This is him with a ventriloquist. He spoke aloud not to convince himself, but to hear whether the air agreed. The air hesitated. In the cave, the screens disagreed. They stammered with images of Joker Rap, ringed by the Rap Tribe. Anonymous Cherry Rap's aura bright and unsettled. Donation Rap's smile held like a shield. Mama Rap's calm an island in a boiling sea. They seemed to be laughing with the clown, not at him. They seemed to be lifting him, not resisting. Gotham's shadows shifted to a new opinion. The tribe had fallen. Batman Rap's jaw clicked, a metronome of restraint. Or someone wants me to think they've fallen, he said. The cave offered only the hum of machinery and the heartbeat of a man who had forgotten how to sleep. He stood without deciding to. The tier's coordinates weren't on a map, but every instinct he'd sworn himself to drew them in the air there, in the seam where poetry becomes weather. Across the tier, the realm inhaled and called the children by their names. Anonymous Cherry Rap woke from meditation, the divine chakra toddy rivers rasping through his breath like sand. Donation Rap paused mid-pitch, the word give lodged like a pearl in his throat. Mama Ama Rap set her palm to the ground and felt it flinch. An animal, a drum, a living book slamming shut on the wrong chapter. Something is lying, Mama Ama Rap said, and the words were both a diagnosis and a prayer. The wind carried the scent of grease paint and old dynamite to the meditation grove. Anonymous Cherry Rap stood, and his shadow lagged a heartbeat behind as if weighing him. He doesn't belong here, he said, but his laugh wants to. He thought of the grove's rules, the ones written, and the ones that write themselves on your ribs, and he felt the slow warmth of resolve catch and hold like coals under snow. RP Radio. Love the content, drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rap Palace 214. On the ridge above the rivers, Joker Rap posed for an audience that hadn't arrived, soaking in the applause he could already hear. He practiced nodding at a crown no one had placed on his head. He rehearsed the face he would make when Batman Rap broke through and called him by the wrong name. He shivered with the joy of being misread. Twilight Zone Rap watched both men and the distance between them. He pulled at it the way a tailor pulls a thread, loosening seams no one should ever touch. "Come," he told the tear, and the tear brightened, a theater sign buzzing to life. "Come," he told the lantern in Gotham, and it obeyed, stuttering with a borrowed smile. "Come," he told the realm, and it did not, choosing instead to brace. Far below, the realm's old voice rumbled through rock and root. "Hold." It touched every title and every palm with the same instruction. Hold the line between seeing and believing. Hold while the liar paints and the clown dances, and the bat decides whether light is still light. Joker Rap cupped a hand to his ear, listening to the silence like it was a crowd. "Hear that?" he whispered to no one and everyone. "They love me already." "No," Twilight Zone Rap said, pleased without showing it. "They love what they're about to misunderstand." Across the city of vows, Batman Rap stepped off the last roof he could trust, and into the air a man makes when he refuses to fall. His cape became a question mark. The tear waited with an answer. The first chapter closed its eye on a realm holding its breath, a jester rehearsing his coronation, a conductor of distortions licking the tip of his brush, and a knight of evidence walking willingly into a painting. Somewhere in the middle of all that, a river remembered how to sing through a storm and promised it would again. RP Radio. Love the content, drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rap Palace 214. The tear did not close after Joker Rap stepped through. It pulsed behind him like a second heart, leaking fragments of Gotham into the rap realm. Sirens without cars, laughter without mouths, a crackling spotlight that searched for a stage, but only found the endless ripple of the divine chakra toddy rivers. Twilight Zone Rap stood at the edge of the distortion, feeding it. Every gesture he made pulled more fabric from the seam, stretching reality thin, weaving a mural no one asked to see. His art was not for beauty, it was for consequence. Joker Rap spread his arms as though addressing an invisible crowd. "You see that Twilight Zone Rap? They're already clapping. I don't even need a punchline yet." He spun in a circle, then fell flat on his back in the grass, howling laughter at the fractured stars overhead. This place doesn't know how to boo. It's divine comedy, baby. Twilight Zone Rap tilted his head, his eyes like broken film reels. The rap tribe will feel the echo soon. When they arrive,